We're following Willie more and more. Back in the NRL. There's Willie Maitua.
That's forgotten how big Willie.
Welcome to episode number 28 of The Take with Willie and Ian, brought to you by bettingsite.com.au. It's exciting.
We're back.
We're back in the studio. We're socially distancing. We've got 1.5 meters. It's been measured out by the producer, which means it's probably closer to 2.5 meters because he exaggerates everything. Very exciting.
Mate, it's
Two
amazing.
things. One, I'm wearing pants for the first time in about the last 8 podcasts. And secondly, and more importantly, we welcome back our old pal, RENI MAITUA. Welcome.
Thank you.
It's wonderful to see you.
It's good to see you boys. Good to be out of the house.
Isn't
Yeah, it's a bit like that, actually.
Yeah. What's everyone been doing? Obviously, every day is just the same shit.
Same.
It is the same thing. You've
shit.
been working, you've been doing the same thing, Ren.
Same thing. Rehabbing my knee, that's it.
Yeah, how's that? How'd you get an op?
Yeah, knee operation from that great game of rugby league. So it's still
Yeah, see, that's
still
why.
having an effect on me now, physically. Just looking after the knee. I had a couple of operations in the last 10 weeks. Good to get out of the house. It sucks not being able to surf, but watching the
I know.
footy,
The
it's
waves
about
look good.
it. The waves have been really good.
Listen, actually,
Kelly Slater over there.
I've been doing some stuff down in Bronny Beach and going for walks to Bondi and stuff like that, and the waves have been good.
Last of the
Am
winter
I wrong?
swells.
Am
No,
I
you're
wrong?
100%
Yeah.
right.
He's spot on.
Yeah,
100%
And
right.
it's the only time I wish I could surf.
You told me you can before.
Yeah.
So
In
add it to the list.
Tonga.
Add it to the list. I think probably the reason we're here is because last week I did wear my pajamas on the show, and then the producer said,
Off.
"But
It's enough of you.
It's enough." But here we are. We're back. We are back, and we are ready to rumble with the finals. It's a very exciting time of the year. So what we are going to do later on is we are going to get 2 of the greats of the game, 2 of the best Bulldogs to ever lace a boot, Willie and RENI, to go through the finals games one by one. Yep. There's no Bulldogs in it, obviously. Although they did have a good win over the Tigers, who are dog shit. And that leads us to our first topic, which is coaches under the pump. I don't think you could talk about coaches under the pump without starting with Michael Maguire. He has taken them, and I quite like Michael Maguire, but he's taken them from 9th to 11th to 13th. They're doing an internal review. The internal review is being held by the blokes that appointed him in the first place, so I'm not sure how independent it is. Ren, does Michael Maguire keep his job?
If you put how I feel about Michael aside, Madge, in terms of how he is as a bloke and what his resume says, he's a successful coach. But if you just look at those results that you've just mentioned, he's regressed. And I believe, I don't know for sure, I believe he's lost the dressing room. So, unfortunately, I don't think for the team to progress for next year that he should be at the helm. I don't know who you bring in, but given the performance they put up last game, that indicates to me that he's lost the dressing room.
100%. If they did have any balls and if they did actually like Madge, they'd go out and fight for him. And you could see in their actions. I'd go a little bit deeper with the coaching sort of thing. If I'm the West Tigers, like, you know, the next man they bring in, or when they do discuss Madge, like they need a vision. They need something. You got to sit there. You got to talk about culture. You got to see where they want the club. There's a lot of like variables to become a head coach these days. You can't just be a good coach at another club and then automatically it just works at the West Tigers. Just because he was good at the Rabbits doesn't mean he's good at the Tigers. You know what I mean? Like the CEOs and chairmen and everybody who's the big dogs at the West Tigers need to really dissect everything about these head coaches. What do you think? Just say from coaches like like Steve Folkes, that was your first head coach, and then you've had Ricky Stewart and all these other guys. Like, what should the CEOs look for and the chairmans look for in a coach? What would be?
Well, I mean, what they need to do first of all is, for example, when Madge first came in, he would have came in with an idea and said, "This is what I bring to the table. This is what I believe in." That's when he gets full backing of the board.
Yep.
And he says, and then if you get appointed coach, you need the board's backing. You say, look, we're not here to make friends. We're here to get results. And then we build relationships along the way. So from day one when he came in with that. He loves to wrestle. He's hard. He's probably the toughest coach. And
he's from Melbourne. Remember
from
that?
Melbourne mould. He needed to recognise in his side where were the weakest links. not try and change the footballer and try and say, I can turn this player into that. He needed to recognise his weaknesses from the start.
Yep.
Start removing players, bringing in the players that he want to play with his kind of structure. Now he's stuck with a roster that he can't do much with, and the only way that he's going to get success if he evolves. He needs to change to coach the players that he has in his roster, and it might not sit well with him. That's why it can get uglier.
I actually had a look, and I saw it somewhere. I can't remember where I saw it, but it's actually, he's signed a lot of the players now. Like, I know they talk about rosters and they talk about Cronulla and, you know, the Bulldogs and people inheriting rosters and having to be, but Michael Maguire's actually signed a lot of the blokes. That more than 50% of that side comes from when Michael Maguire has signed them. So I don't know. I think they've struggled to attract players, and obviously Luke Brooks probably hasn't been the player they thought he was going to be.
Yeah. Going into coaching a little bit more, Ren, how important do you think it is for a head coach to have good assistant coaches? Because every time I've been involved in a team, I'm just say like your Wayne Bennett's, and like when I first started, Steve Folkes was just a coach. There was no assistant coaches or anything. Games evolve. Obviously, you need more help, and there's more hands-on. There's assistant coaches. There's positional coaches and all that kind of stuff. The head coach, what he has to look like to me is a leader of men.
Yep.
He has to be standing right in front of you all the time and leading you into battle. He has to have that sort of charisma. He has to have a lot of boxes to tick, because we're all young, impressionable men looking at this man going, he's a coach. He's the guy that we're listening to. We need to trust him. We need to believe in him. Like, how important it is for him to have good assistant coaches, because he needs to lead from the front, and you can't have assistant coaches. I've been in teams where they undermine the coach, some assistant coaches, you know what I mean? So I don't really. I understand like where they're trying to get to, but like how important it is from the head coach to really rule that whole coaching staff like an absolute general.
He has to have people that he trusts around him.
Yeah.
Like you said, when you're playing for a club that is sort of dropping up and down the ladder all throughout the year, or they might lose a few in a row, that's when the assistant coaches start separating themselves from the head coach. If they see the writing on the wall to keep their job. I find rugby league, especially more so with the coaching staff, I find them very snaky.
Yes.
They're all they're all aspiring to be a head coach, or they're just trying to look after their own paycheck.
No accountability.
For
the wins and losses.
You need those trusts. You need those people that you've probably known for 10, 15 years around you that are delivering your message to your players.
Yep.
And you don't steer away from any sort of outside noise. What you're trying to drive into a team and into a culture, into a winning environment, you stick with that, and you make sure your 2 assistant coaches, your 3 assistant coaches are all on board with you.
Yep.
As soon as you bring someone out, bring in different characters within your inner sanctum, that's when shit's going to go wrong. And I bet you right now you've got assistant coaches at the Tigers that are trying to distance themselves away from Madge to keep their spot.
It's interesting too, because they've actually, and this is a new thing in the game, it wasn't around when you blokes were playing, but they've brought in Tim Sheens as a director of football, or, you know, similar to, I guess, the role that Gus Gould's going to play at the Bulldogs and did at Penrith. I just think that brings another layer of complexity as well, because at the end of the day, the Tim Sheens can, if they get rid of Maguire and they bring in another coach, just say they're talking about Christian Wolf or some of the players, some of the coaches that are overseas. So they come in, Tim Sheen's been employed to do a job. Does Tim Sheens then get the right to say to the coach, this is the way I want you to coach? Does the coach then have to say, I need to answer to Tim Sheens? I just think it creates a shit fight that they don't need.
I just think it is another layer, but it's something that probably needs to be done, because some of the head coaches that get appointed, they're not really that ready. If you have a look at other clubs. So there needs to be someone like a Gus, like a Tim Sheens, who's been around the block for about 30, 40 years, been in great systems. They know what a good coach looks like. Support the head coach. That's all that is supporting the head coach, giving him everything that he needs. Everything. All the recruitment, all the general managers, everybody. He oversees all that stuff, so the fucking head coach doesn't have to do anything but get the best out of his players for 80 minutes. Tim Sheens and that, they don't want to be a head coach anymore. Neither does Gus. They've been there. They've won premierships. They're like OGs in this game. They don't have to do that. So some clubs need that. That's why Gus is going back to the Bulldogs. And just before we were talking about off camera, we're talking about culture of clubs, Ren. And then we go to the West Tigers here now. What culture do the West Tigers have when we're thinking, only started in 2000, I think it was.
Yeah, 2000.
So 21 years old. Like when
99.
If you're talking about culture, if you're saying this, if you're a CEO, you're bringing a person in, Christian Wolf. So what do you think about the culture? What answer is he going to have? You fucking don't know. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's such a weird
need
little club. It's a weird club. So if you talk about the
Yeah.
Bulldogs, you know what the Bulldogs stand for. We know they've just lost their way a little bit. You talk about other clubs that we can sort of mention, like the Broncos. Not, they know what they stand for. They just lost a little bit at the moment. But the Tigers is that anomaly where it's like, it's a fucking new club.
Well,
20 years old.
Here's a conspiracy theory for you. Paul Green today announced that he wasn't going to coach Queensland. He had 1 year coaching Origin, and he obviously they didn't win the series, but he probably would have been reappointed next year because the Queenslanders don't like to, they pick and stick and all that. What chance does he have if he's been tapped on the shoulder because he said he wants to get an NRL gig? Does he walk straight? Like, if they're having this review about Maguire now, what chance of Paul Green's their next coach?
It's a fair chance because it's not like we're talking about just 1 year here with Madge. What is it, 3 or 4 years?
He's had 3 years.
3 years.
Do you want that job?
Do you want the job? Exactly. Do you want the job, Paul Green?
No.
Do you want to be thrown like it's a rebuilding club again? Like he won a premiership at the North Queensland, but look at that team. It was pretty much nearly. It was just set there. He just had to mold different players, and just control egos and stuff like that. That's all you got to do, and keep him out of the mad cow. That's all you. That's your other job, and that's about it. But Paul Green could be a head coach easily, and he could take this job. But does Paul Green want that job? He must love coaching.
But there's ego. There's ego with coaches as well. Like Paul Green probably thinks I can look at that West Tigers side and I can mould it into something good. Like, you got to remember, Trent Barrett took on the Bulldogs job when the Bulldogs roster at that stage was a mess. And he went, all right, well, I can probably do something with it. Now, he's obviously put himself this year in a position where he needs to succeed next year or he's gone. Paul Green might go, I look at that side and I can do something with it.
I think Madge took everything that he did to South. He bought that from Melbourne, and he had a bunch of men ready at South. They were ready to roll. They were ready to win. You had GI, you had the Burgess brothers, you had John Sutton, you had a group of players that were ready to win. All he had to do was work them hard, get them fit for that game, for those years, and it took a toll on their body. Two medically retired because of the shit that he went through, like GI and Sam Burgess, Ugly's two of their best players. And he goes and takes that same mentality to West Tigers that don't really have an identity or a culture that you can just sort of just hammer on. You know what I mean? And he must have went to the board and he sold all this sort of same shit. And he would have sold it easily because he on the surface is a great person and a great man, great bloke and a leader of men. Yeah. So he just did not get it out of the Tigers. He hasn't got anything out of the Tigers. Hasn't got the best football out of anyone bar probably Luciano Leilua. I reckon he's really evolved. Yeah. BJ's gone down. Moses Mbai's left. So all their key sort of players, Douay, he got injured. He's probably been their best player. Their best, and I think the young kid, Dane Laurie from the Panthers before he got injured. So you got something to mix with. Paul Green comes here, already won a premiership. I mean, a premiership. Yeah. Good. You know, he's a leader, man. He's going to sell it as well. But as I say before, what does the chairman and the CEOs and the sponsors, they really need to grill him.
Yeah. Well, I'd like Madge to get one more shot, given that he evolves as a coach, where they have a conversation and say, look,
because the rumours are, like you good mates with Sato on that. You know how harsh Madge was. I don't think he had the characters to be harsh on.
No, he didn't have the characters within that side. So he needs to have a look at his roster and say, right, I know these players well enough now. I've been around them for 3 years. I know what works for Luke Brooks. I know when to push him. I know when to back off him. He needs to. I'd like him to have one more chance, evolve and work with his roster, and go out and sign some players from the UK, because that's the only way he's going to get players, is maybe a couple of tough forwards from over in the UK.
They've got Jackson. Yeah, they haven't signed well next year. One of the things that I think rugby league, this is a very dark day for rugby league too. I think this is probably one of the saddest things that's ever happened to the game. I mean, you can talk about Super League, but Anthony Seibold, who's probably the greatest coach that's ever been.
The one that you got sacked. You're awful, mate.
I've never seen a bloke be as respected within a community as Anthony Seibold. And Anthony Seibold... It's
a beef there.
He's non-stop with him. No.
And so I reckon, the best thing about this from an Australian perspective is he signed with the English Rugby Union. They're gone. So the World Cup's in 2 years. Seabold will destroy that joint too. And we're a big chance of winning the World Cup now without England. So congratulations
South Africans.
to Anthony
Watch the
Seibold.
South Africans, mate.
Maybe we could send him to all of them. You can go and coach at the All
I think it's I mean, Eddie Jones is not an idiot.
He loves
knows
rugby league.
He loves rugby league. And Seabold is not. He's a smart man. Obviously, he's been sacked and he's been through the ringer for a lot of things. But his football brain and acumen and everything like is on point. So what he can teach these English pommy blokes from Union is probably far superior than most their coaches.
Why are you being nice to him all of a sudden?
He did the right thing and didn't let his ego get in the way by trying to take on a Tigers job or trying to get
He could exactly.
Yeah.
He can go live
He went
in
over and
fucking
be a
England.
sponge.
He's got to do that. This is what
Take
he's got to
on
do.
as
You got
much
to
knowledge as
think.
you can.
Well done for Siebes because he got to go. I want to get back in.
Yeah.
I've done my time. A year and a half here. I've been at Newcastle. All that sort of shit. No, he knows he needs to work on himself and go back. And that takes a man to do that. So credit to Siebes for doing that. He's going to go overseas, swallow his pride, and learn off Eddie Jones. You aren't going to learn the X's and O's off Eddie Jones because he's going to come back to rugby league eventually. But everything that Eddie Jones stands for.
I actually reckon
That's what he's going to be about.
This
Eddie
is
Jones is one of the most respected men in rugby union.
This is actually one of the best jobs. Like
Yeah,
that English
mate,
rugby
be
union side.
awesome.
It's so I don't know how he got it, but anyway. So the other thing that's happened this week is I'm going to call this the Paul Vaughan rule. They're saying that
POV.
misbehaving players will be liable for fines of up to 130 grand. So if you're a second tier player, please don't do it because that's your contract ripped up in one go. What about this? 130,000. Is that going to be a deterrent? Like if you're out on the drink, not that either of you ever would be, but if you were out on the drink and you're misbehaving, are you going to go, I better pull up now? I've had 500 schooners, but I might get fined 130.
It's not the actual drinking; it's the situation you get put in sometimes when you shouldn't be doing the right thing. Just example, bringing people back to your hotel. That'll be straight out.
Yeah.
That'll go. All right. It might be 25 to 50. You're probably dancing with the devil there in the last couple. Just say the last 10 years, 130 grand. That person is not coming back. There's just that you're just going to draw a line in the sand and just go put Pornhub on.
It'd have to be it would have to be a big thing
mate,
for
it's gonna
130.
hit ya.
You'd have to. I don't know.
I don't have a leg to stand on with all the misdemeanors I had.
Yeah,
Well-
but like we haven't been in this situation.
Yeah,
we haven't been in this environment right now. And when you bring in everything else under, like you're nearly ruining the game. Some of these decisions, some of these young kids are making right now. In our era, different. We're just doing dumb shit to hurt ourselves. We're not hurting ourselves. We're hurt right now. You hurting the game. So right now, if you're going to make that decision to bring someone back in the bubble, this is pretty much what it's all about. Fucking 130 grand minimum.
It's kind of a shame that they've had to come up with something so dramatic.
Yes, because they can't
To get a
trust. They
result.
can't trust players.
Yeah.
Someone's getting fined 130 grand.
Oh,
Like,
for sure.
You know
Oh
what I
my
mean? I
God,
just think
for
if you're
sure.
if you're a 21-year-old and you're out there, like these things are so reactive. You're just going to go. You're going to get sprung, and then you go, oh,
You roll the dice.
130. You
There'll be
roll
a
the
couple
dice
of-
every
A
time.
couple of blokes on about a mil rolling that dice. Don't worry about that.
Snake eyes.
The blokes, the blokes on a mill don't. They're not the ones getting caught though. It's you know what I
I'm
mean.
just
They're-
saying. I mean,
they're-
like, just say if you're on 600, you get hit with 130. It's a lot of money. You got to make 250 to make 130.
yeah. Well done.
You do the math.
Where does that money
Whatever.
go?
That was a tax
My
account.
Are they
accountant. Am I an
allocated where that
accountant?
money goes?
Am I an accountant?
You should be the accountant. I don't know. It just says here that under the current rules, a player can't be fined more than 50,000, but the new figure will be established before the start. I guess you pay the NRL. Maybe they're going
It doesn't
where
go
does
into
that money
educate.
go?
Yeah, I mean it's
Education?
bullshit. I think
Yeah, right.
it's a big scam.
straight to Andrew
well,
Abdu's bank account.
It should go straight.
Abdo.
It should go straight into the women's game because we can't actually afford to pay those girls. Which
That's pretty
sucks.
average,
Like
yeah.
just give it. Like
Yeah,
give
give
all
it
our
to
fine
them.
money. It'll
sure.
accumulate into $1 million next year.
They'd have a
Pay
bigger-
all the girls.
They'd have a bigger cap than.
Yeah, like I think
It'd be a big cap.
I think this year 650,000 all accumulated from everyone's fines. Bankroll the women's game, putting it into education shit. What liars! You're not doing shit.
Well,
You
there,
know,
I mean, there's
NRL.
enough education, isn't there? Surely it's like don't
Fuck,
go.
how much education do you need?
I know. I
Oh,
don't
yeah,
know.
we're going to put it back into player welfare. What the fuck? No, wrong place.
So one of the people who wasn't at, so if there was 130 grand, that Dragons party would have been 130 grand, 100%. So you got DeBellin under the bed, you got, it's a bubble. So Tarek
$1 million
Sims,
in one.
Tarek Sims wasn't at that party, but the club has said they're not going to extend his contract.
Yeah.
There's a bit of hoo-ha about it. I mean, look, these are business decisions. Rugby league's a business. Anyone that thinks it's not, people are saying he's a local junior. Well, he's a local junior, but he's also played for the Cowboys. He's played for
He went to
Newcastle. He went to Brisbane. So I don't know. Are people getting too upset now, knowing that rugby league is a business, about players getting the punt or leaving clubs?
Yeah, I think they'll be getting upset right now because Tariq's had such a great year, and they'll be thinking, why? Why? Oh my God, he's been our best player. He killed it in Origin. He did this, this, and this. Simple fact is, he's 32 next year. That's old. And Tariq's not dumb. He knows he's probably got two or three good years left in him. And he wants another year on top of next year, so he can probably sit back and just retire at like 33 or 34. So he's playing his hand, and then the club's going, no, we don't want that, because it's not a smart business decision.
You've got a case for both Tariq and
I
the
love
Dragons.
Tariq. I love Tariq. I think he's a beast. But if he can get another deal with the West Tigers or Canberra or lower tier club that's got some big cash, go get it, son. Go get it, because the St George aren't going to pay you more than $650. I reckon he's worth about $800 in this market. And he did play great in Origin. He's still got a lot of football left in him, even though it says 32. You know, a 32 now is not 32 10 years ago. The way they can look after their body and stuff like that. And the way Tariq is, he's the ultimate professional. What he can bring to a team like the Tigers, lower tier teams, his leadership and the way that he plays, and just being an all-round fucking legend. He deserves a 2-year deal. I would sign him a 2 or 3 year deal, even if I'm not getting the most productivity out of him. It's still Tariq Sims.
And it's also talking about West Tigers and struggling with a culture and struggling with. He's the sort of bloke that can drive a culture, because he's a current Origin player. He's been there. It's not the worst signing for the Tigers, that's for sure.
It's almost an investment long term as well, especially for the Dragons. You could make that case by keeping him around these young players like Sloan and who's the centre. There's a few young players coming
Zach
through.
Lomax,
They're developing a lot of players. So you can't really buy experience or knowledge, and because he is a what's that area? Bloody Wollongong Junior,
Shell Harbour.
Shell Harbour.
Can't play that on him. Like that was his whole dream, to go back to play for St George Illawarra. He's done that. He's put the yards in. Now it's a business decision. I can understand how the fans get upset because he's playing so great. He's a Wollongong Junior, but fucking it is what it is. You know what I mean? Like, this is the business. This is the business end. St George is looking after their end. All right.
And Griffin hasn't been there a long time either, and he needs results. They lost their last 8 games or something like that. So he needs results. So he needs to make calculated business decisions. He can't just be friends with everyone like we spoke about earlier. You got to put friendships aside, and you're result based driven. You know what I mean? So
Do any of the Dragons players live in Cogra, or are they all down at? I think they all live
Tempe.
on the beach at Shell Harbour, don't they? I think
Rockdale.
I don't think they're all.
They're in
I think
Rockdale
they
Plaza every Sunday.
They train at Wynn. Let's just touch upon, first and foremost, the Warriors had a bit of an implosion on the weekend, and I, for one, think it's a bit harsh to have a crack at them because they've been away for that long. They've had, of all the rubber, the green, the Warriors have had the toughest start, right?
Yep.
Matt Lodge and Jared Wallace have had a little hoo-ha on the weekend, and I actually don't mind. The only bloke throwing punches is Kane Evans, and he needs to worry more about stationary objects than moving objects, because he's got a terrific-looking jab. We've seen that in a couple of videos, but
he made contact with anyone
Not yet. I don't think he's actually hit anyone yet.
I don't want to be on the end of it, but he's throwing some beautiful punches.
If he gets one, they're good-looking punches.
Great-looking punches.
I think he shuts his eyes or something. I don't know. You're a boxer, Ren. You tell me. Is he a bloke that...
boxer. I wouldn't step in the ring with him. I think he's got a great punch.
He does.
I don't want to be the one that tests out his power.
Yeah. Maybe he's just foxing. Maybe he thinks if he hits a bloke, he'll get 6 weeks, and if he misses, he'll only get 3.
Well, he got 6 weeks, didn't he?
I think he only got 3.
3.
I don't know. But he's had, that's what, 3 suspensions or something this year. I mean, he's obviously, but he came in to protect his mate, and I get that.
Yeah.
But Matt Lodge, so Lodge has done a lot of work on his, I guess, his reputation after what happened, and he hasn't honestly put a foot wrong for the whole time he's come back. He started with Brisbane, he's gone to the Warriors. He hasn't put a foot wrong.
Yeah,
he's getting hammered. He lost his crankies on the weekend, and then I think the sticking his finger up at the crowd. There's photos of that everywhere, but emotions are running high. I don't reckon you can hang. The bloke has done some horrible things, but you can't hang him out to dry over a little stink.
No. I love that. I don't want to see a soft front row. I want to see the little bit of a screw loose.
Yeah, there's a screw loose with Lodge. I love
absolutely.
him. He's just, you can see in his eyes, he doesn't say much, but his eyes want to fucking murder you.
He wants to kill you.
You know what I mean? But I think people need to take their hat off to some of these players that rugby league players are cut from a different cloth. You know what I mean? We're highly aggressive and stuff like that. We use that platform rugby league on the field to take a lot of that anger out, especially a lot of forwards. We do that, you know what I mean? And to take that away from them and to have the, I don't know, just to chill back, no, but just to cop it and not do anything about it, suppress all those feelings and not just hit someone straight in the fucking mouth, because these guys played in an era where you could actually hit someone. You know what I mean? So now it's like it's taken back from them. You're like, wow, like you just show that resolve just to not hit someone. I think you need to pay homage to all these young kids, because otherwise there'd be fights all the time.
I'll tell you what was, like, I reckon indicative of that whole you can't punch thing. So Jazz Tavanga comes fine, and Jazz Tavanga looks like he wants to kill people all the time. He's that sort of bloke. He's just a tough footballer. And he's come in and he's tackled Philip Sami, the winger. And Philip Sami's got up laughing, right? Now, having a winger laughing when he's been
wasn't
tackled.
Wasn't it Selesniak?
Who tackled him?
Yeah.
No, he was there as well. They were all in it. But Tavanga's gone and grabbed him, and then he's laughing. And if it was your era, if a winger's laughing at a hooker straight back rower, he wears one straight on the chin. So that's the whole thing now. He can get up and go, this is funny. It's not funny when you got Mark O'Malley.
Yeah, I know, mate. I love it, because like these guys are nutbags, front rowers and that, man. We're all cut from a different cloth. You want that action. You know what I mean? And you want to impose your will on these other front rowers. And if a guy like Lodge and Kane Evans and all these blokes, they're about that sort of shit. You take that away from them, this is what's going to happen. Then you put them in COVID, then you got to think of the whole bubble, the whole society. Hanging out with fucking football players 24/7 would drive me wild. You know what I mean? We used to go in there, just say when we played, used to train, go out and do your own thing. Come back, train, then we play, all that sort of shit 24/7 with these fuckers. You know what I mean? Like, I love playing with most of my fucking guys that I play with, but I can't deal with some blokes 24/7, man.
I'm surprised there wasn't more fights, or
in-house.
Even a murder. Seriously.
Well, Jared Wallace and Matt Lodge, I like that they're not trying to hide from the fact that they had a stink on the field.
Send the location.
Nor should they.
That's what he said.
Sign the
Sign the
contract.
same shit. Send the location.
But he was sitting there, and Lodge was looking on the side.
It'd be like what I did with the celebrity, not celebrity thing, the fight thing that I had with Sam Thaiday.
He's a celebrity.
That'd be on Nick Livermore's sort of thing, on his fight card. That's what they want to do.
Oh, apparently Wallace can throw him.
Yeah,
it'd be a good fight.
Yeah.
Wallace is good. So hey,
Lodge,
get it, Lodge.
You know, Lodge is a lunatic, and
it's
not a street fight. I think Lodge wants street fights.
He was
no
waiting.
mouth guard, no gloves, bare knuckle.
He was in the
he
car
wants
park.
Like a headgear and about 24-ounce gloves.
The old kickboxer with the glass.
Jelly beans.
Jelly beans and caramel.
Just kicking a tree. Oh, look, it's got here quick wrap final round, but I don't remember any of the games. Is there anything you'd like to, Rennie? You're the special guest. Is there anything from the last round that you would like to discuss? We had a few good games. I can't remember what they were.
Played?
Raiders Roosters played on Friday night. That was a non-event.
Do we want to fucking actually look
there
at this
was.
You know what I found when I was at home? I wasn't swearing as much. Now,
No,
stop
swearing.
No, I'm going to stop swearing. Sorry.
No, because you're excited. You're an
Yeah, I'm very
excitable
excited.
That's what
person.
I've found with this whole lockdown these last 10 weeks. Every day's morphed into the same day, so I'm forgetting what round was what and what happened last week and what game was
And you've
the
been
week
injured
before.
as well.
Well, this was the gap. They had rested. They all had the rested. So it was the
Does
resting.
that make
so
sense? They all had the rest.
they had the rested.
Okay.
That's a thing.
Yeah.
That's it. Perfect English.
Right, so Para Penrith should have been a good game.
And Para rested all the players.
Yeah.
They had the rested. Then you had Melbourne
Storm,
pumped someone.
Melbourne Storm and Cronulla.
Yeah.
Cronulla disappointing.
South.
South.
Yeah, well, that's our
Smacked,
wrap anyway. It's pretty good wrap.
That was good.
I'm actually on the.
Let's just go to the semis.
Who cares?
No, the
Let's not
Knights.
go back.
I want to tell you, the Knights,
Yeah.
resting players, the game, like the round before, they got absolutely pumped, and now their momentum gone because they rested players.
Yeah,
Don't like
I don't
it.
think so. Because you got a whole new, like, their attitude is different. Because they know they're going to have the Saifidi brothers back and all that kind of stuff. So I wouldn't be sweating on that game.
Eels win by a lot. There you go.
Eels
Heard
will
it
be good,
here
mate.
first.
Eels will be good.
All right. So, William, you obviously watched every game. Cause,
I do. That's
Yep.
what I do.
And so,
my
as a
job.
result, we're going to go straight into your
Big boys.
Willie's Big Boy.
Still funny.
I was looking at my phone, but look, it's right behind you.
I can't turn my head that far.
Anyway, it was always good to watch the big boys play on last weekend. But I mean, if people who listen to the show, they know how I pick. And it's not about like just your meterage and all that kind of bullshit. It's about the starts of the games, the other forward pack, how they're travelling, the caliber of the forward pack. I don't give a shit if they're coming last or first or whatever. So my 1 point goes to Mokai Fotuaika because he played outstanding. And there was a lot on this game. Regardless if they won 44-0, they had to win by 7 points. So there's a lot of pressure on these kids, and he played outstanding. He's only a young kid. I think he's played nearly 100 games already. I think he's a young Tongan kid, well over 150 metres, like 90% efficiency in defence, like 16, 17 hit-ups. He was a monster, and he played about 64 minutes, so that was outstanding. And then Big Tino, he's the lock, pretty much the third front rower up there. Jared Wallace, you got Fotuaika, and you got Big Tino just on the back of that. He's a big boy, man. I remember seeing him after the game, the Origin game. He's a beast. I think he played about 65 minutes in the middle. About, I think, 25, 30 tackles. His efficiency is outstanding. He brings all that stuff from Melbourne and well over 100, about 150 metres, like quality stuff, because he doesn't take kickoffs. So this kid is just making it straight through the middle. And 3 points goes to Moses Leota because that game, the amount of hatred between Penrith and Parramatta is unbelievable. And I thought Fisher Harris played outstanding, but they only played Fisher Harris about 30 minutes. He just put holes all through him, but Leota took it right on. He played about 50 minutes and was an absolute monster. So he's like, that attack that they've got out at Penrith is going to be outstanding. But he was unbelievable. Even though that, Parramatta rested a few of their forwards, they were still up for this game, especially early. And Fisher Harris really didn't, but the 1-2 punch Leota. So he deserves 3. He's been outstanding all year, just because Fisher Harris just keeps taking all the points.
Well, I think the best thing about today was when you sent through, the producer asked for the 3-2-1s, and then you put it 2 first and then 1 and then 3, and it's just so confusing. You are the most confusing human being ever. But
thank you.
The leaderboard as it stands now, and there are only now finals games to go. So Payne Haas is on 21 votes. He cannot get any more votes than that.
And he would have got 3 because he was well on his way. If you watch him what he did against Newcastle in 25 minutes, it would have been a monstrosity.
Well, he's injured now, so he's out anyway because the Broncos came second last. James Fisher-Harris is on 17 votes, so he will need to get points. Presumably they're going to have 2 or 3 more games. So he's got a chance.
Yep.
Junior Paulo, he needs 5 to get past Payne Haas, and he's going to have to do it real quick because they're a chance of going out in straight sets, I think.
Yeah.
But anyway, he's got 16. So the Eels need to win. So it's very tight at the top.
It's good.
Between those 3 big boys. As we have said, they will get beers from Young Henry's and they will get burgers from Bondi Tony's. One thing that I would like to point out is that we're going to be having giveaways all through the finals. The finals are they're a wonderful time of year, aren't they, Ren?
Great time.
And so if you like us on Instagram, if you like us on Facebook, you got a chance to win. We've got a heap of stuff to give away. We've got beer, we've got burgers. When Greg Inglis was on the show, I think you would remember that he has got a new company called Strive by GI. He's got some of the best T-shirts going around. We have got a heap of them, and we will be giving them away in a range of different sizes. For that big fat bloke at the Titans, we've got a couple of triple XLs for him.
Don't fat shame him.
He was good dancing.
Hey?
What do you mean
Big
fat
fella.
shame?
Yeah.
Did you see him dancing? He should have got your points.
He was outstanding.
He was great. I think he should come up again next week. I think they're playing again. So, so in the grand final, we're going to give away a pair of these headphones as well, thanks to Yamaha.
You should be a model for him.
That
That
we're
would be amazing.
Well, it's covering my filthy ear. They've got the operation on it, so it's probably a good thing. So stay in touch with us. Get on Facebook and Instagram and all the rest of it. We'll be advertising all the prizes we're giving away. We're giving away a heap of stuff. Some bloke just said stop giving stuff to footballers because they can't drink piss during the year, and he's raised a good point. So we'll give some Young Henrys away to all of you
Shut up,
people.
mate.
All
That's
right,
what I say.
that takes us to. It used to be my favourite time of the show but then I can't win a bet. So I've lost interest in this. But thanks to bettingsite.com.au. Harold, welcome, son. You finished your baby food?
Baby food's all done, ready to talk football bets.
Excellent. So we've got, how much we got in the kitty? We've got $4,355 in the kitty. We all went close last week. We all went very close last week. When I say we went very close, I think I got one leg right. So that was good. But
I was out on Thursday night.
Not
literally, just the bet.
You can't go out. So I'm going to start with myself because I'm clearly the most important person at this desk. But I've gone a mixture bet again because I'm confident the Wallabies are going to not get flogged by South Africa. So they've got 9.5 start. I've got the Storm
It's a terrible
and the
bet.
Panthers. Shut your mouth right now. The Storm and the Panthers head-to-head. Brian To'o to score a try because he just scores tries. And the Titans against my Roosters, I don't think they are going to get flogged. So I've taken them with 11.5.
Okay. So we tally that up at $10.42 at Ladbrokes. They're going to give you that.
Oh, no.
It's not bad.
Where are the Wallabies playing? Is that in Oz?
Yeah, they're up. So South Africa are out, and so we're all up in Queensland now. So they're all playing up in Queensland. And Australia's very good in
I love
Queensland.
that. I love that 9.5 start then. Absolutely.
Yep, good.
Yeah.
$10
Traditionally
is-
very good up there.
South Africa the best in the world?
Not anymore. Australia are. They just Anthony Seibold's having
Oh
it.
my
He's
God.
gone to, so
They're
that
like better than the
Seibold's,
Wallabies, aren't they?
no, Seibold, well, not
I mean, the All Blacks.
not 9.5 better.
Yeah, I reckon
So
about 30.
Look,
Why are you so
first,
negative?
Yeah, first two legs of that, big time into it. Titans a little bit on the fence, but I think that's a risk worth taking to get $10.40. So
that'll bring
I
us
like it.
$500, and we need it
Easy.
desperately.
Yeah.
All right,
I got
let's
mine.
hear Williams.
I've got Manly Sea Eagles at the line, Gold Coast Titans at the line, South Sydney at the line, and Para head-to-head. That's me. Done.
You're getting
Simple.
so much better at reading these out now.
I know. That's all I've
All
been
right,
practicing.
Ladbrokes have jumped in again and given Willie $11.20. So Manly at the 8.5 start, I think that's a cracker of a leg. Again, on the fence with the Titans. The Rabbitohs will keep it really close, 11.5. That's way overs for them. And then the Eels should realistically take care of business, even if Ray Stone is their starting hooker.
Yeah.
That is a worry.
He tackles good. I don't think there are so
Yeah.
much more from him. He hits hard.
I'll tell you
Well-
what, Ladbrokes are obviously doing very, very well out of having Mark Wahlberg doing those stupid ads
Doesn't
because
he do Neds?
they're providing wonderful.
Lots of money.
Yeah, lots of money. All right, so the producer, this again reeks of desperation. And you know what? He'll start raving on about how Tom Hanks should have kicked 6 goals or something last week. I don't care about it. He was too busy with Wilson. He was cast away. So he's gone Melbourne 1-39. What a low game, that 1-39. Anyway, Christian Petrarca to kick 2 goals. Western Bulldogs and Adam Treloar, anytime goal kicker. I've heard of Adam Treloar, so I like this bet now. What are we getting? And
Yeah, you're all over it.
Yep.
Look, and for good reason. Ladbrokes, $30.93 they are
Wahlberg.
offering for
Wahlberg
this.
again. That's a lot
It'll
of
come
money.
out of Wahlberg. That'll come out of Wahlberg's back pocket in his laundry basket.
He's, you know what? He turned up, got paid $6 million to do 2 stupid ads that no one in America will ever see. That is the best gig of all
As if
time.
you wldn't be doing that.
100%.
It's like being a pop star in Japan.
Willie was almost big in Japan.
Huge.
He almost signed. Now, Harold, I can see now why you're a bit iffy about the 2 Titans bets, and I feel like you might be talking out of your back pocket. But anyway, explain your bet to us.
I think that game will be close in some parts and the Titans will be really competitive, but there's just still enough class in that Roosters side that when the going gets tough, they'll be able to put the foot down. And as you've seen under 2021 rules, 12, 13 points is just not that much. Like to get beat by 18 or 20 points isn't that big of a deal anymore. So that's just I just think it will blow out slightly rather than the Titan keep it close for the full 80. But I do think that they're in the market for at least 60 minutes. I think they'll be really competitive. That's my thought.
Well, what price have you got? Because from what I can see here, I'm again,
all right, so
my price is the lowest again. So that's good.
Mark Wahlberg has run out of money, so I've had to go to Sportsbet for this one. $38.44 for the Storm 1 to 12, Roosters 13 plus, Panthers 13 plus. Bit of a risk, but we're going there. And the Eels 1 to 12.
Yeah, well, there we go. I've got some sort of envy now looking at some of these bigger bets. I'm used to looking at things bigger than my own and getting sad, but now here we are again. Now, can I just say, Harry, that this is probably Rennie.
If we win,
Yes.
This is. I love Ren. I've always loved Ren, but this bet is just. I would like to consider myself quite an accomplished punter, Harry. But this is just outstanding.
You think
Ren?
it's pretty obvious, isn't it?
No, I love it. I've never seen this before, and I'm just so impressed. Anyway, continue.
I cannot believe this price.
Great. price.
This should be way shorter.
It should be.
So I'll read it out. I'll read it out because Ren's got starstruck looking at me, I think. But he's gone. These are all. You want to read it out?
Oh, you want me to read it out? Yeah, right. Sorry, mate. I thought
what the fuck he's looking at each other for? Do you want me to read it out?
No, we'll all read it.
Can't read it out.
You can't read it.
No,
That's what it means.
okay, I'll read it. I'll read it
That's
out.
what it means.
All right, I've got the Storm to win with Tommy Turbo scoring at any time. Roosters to win with Fafita scoring any time. Penrith to win with Brian Dottall to score any time. And the Eels to win with Blake Ferguson to score any time.
And the genius of this, for those at home that want to get involved through bettingsite.com.au, is that they are 4 same-game multis. So he's taken short prices, he's multiplied the short prices into longer prices, and then he's combined them in a multi. I just think that everyone
Is that even possible?
Yeah, it is. Well, it's Rennie possible. So
That just blew my head off.
yeah, I know.
I didn't listen.
You don't
I
understand
wasn't
one thing I just said.
I was not listening.
Harry, what price are we getting?
Look, I almost fell over when I saw this price. Ladbrokes, again, $54.49 for that combination.
Unbelievable.
Let's go.
Some of my bets last year.
Ren, have
Gotta
you put
win
this
first.
on yourself?
Yeah, I put it on myself.
Yes. I'm 100%.
This is what he just cut and paste whatever we said. Just put your bets in. Oh, I've already got that on.
So the producers put it on too, so that's just stopped it. He'd stop Fowler. But this has turned into the most lucrative week in the take history,
Yeah.
I think.
All right.
Are you confident, Harry?
In Rennie's bet, absolutely. I think it's a good thing.
So do I. I like it.
I love it, actually.
Yeah.
I like it.
Love it.
All right. Well, thanks, mate. We have got $4,300 in the kitty. We're going to have about $10 million after this week. But again, the entries are coming through thick and fast. We'll be going through all of that. But if you're a club or if you're a young kid watching this, well, don't watch the show because Willie swears a lot. But if you're a parent, encourage your child or yourself to start putting in the entries because we will be giving away a big heap of cash. And if this gets up, it'll be a lot more than we are at now. But we're still going. We're raising money. Thanks to bettingsite.com.au and thanks to you, Harry. We'll speak to you next week, mate.
Thanks, Harry.
Look, hopefully we're a couple of $1,000 richer by the time we speak next week. So enjoy the football.
Thanks very much.
Thanks, mate.
See you.
And remember, guys, to gamble responsibly. All right?
That was the worst one you've ever done. It was not believable at all.
Yeah, just gamble responsibly. It's
You
not
should.
hard.
Ren does.
Yeah, look at Ren. He's ridiculously responsible.
All right. So now
Going multis into other multis, sub-multis. It's a fucking matrix where you just explained that.
it is actually the
What the hell are you
Matrix.
talking about?
Yeah.
Everyone do it?
Fucking-
Everyone does it,
What
don't
did you do? Can you explain it?
This is what happens when you grow up in Maroubra.
Yeah, just bets.
Well, I haven't won all year, so.
Yeah, well, I've won
It's not
3
that
times.
great.
What have you won?
Oh, wow. 4 times I think you've won, actually. So let's go into the finals games. There is 2 of the greatest players ever to play the game of rugby league sitting on my left and my right here, and we are blessed to have their insight into these games of football. Now, I hope these games are in order. I've got no idea what order they're in. Hang on. So what we're going to do... Oh, here we go. Yep, they're in order. No, they're not. I'll work that out later. The first game, though, is the Storm versus Manly. What we are going to do is we are going. I'm gonna give each of you a team, and you're gonna tell me why they're gonna win. So
Okay,
let's start with the Storm versus Manly. So the Storm are raging hot favourites against a Manly side that just has got Tom Trbojevic the end. Ren, why are the Storm going to win?
They've been there and done it before. The experience in that side, and they're all class. I think the biggest thing for me is having Munster back. You remember what he did last year? He went on a 3-day bender and won a Origin series. So he's a big game player. Obviously missing the last round through, was it infection in his knee?
Yeah.
He just stands up to the occasion. It doesn't matter if he misses a week. Doesn't matter if he's got COVID. He'll still turn up and play a great game. You know, like he's that competitive, naturally gifted, plays off the cuff, old school footballer that I don't think they necessarily need him for this game. I mean, Nico Hines could slip into 6 for this one off, but to win the premiership, I think they need Munster in there, and that's why I think they'll be too good.
This is just to beat Manly.
Just to beat Manly. I think there's too much experience, too much class. I do think they've regressed fractionally.
Fractionally.
Since Pappenhausen did come back, I thought they sort of lost their sort of flow, their rhythm a little bit when they didn't know Nico, Pappenhausen. But the back end of the Storm game last week, Pappenhausen sort of found his timing. So they'll build off the back of that. He'd be far better for this game. He's building towards something special, and he's going to probably peak in the next sort of week or two.
Yeah.
All right.
So that's why Melbourne will beat Manly.
All right, my argument is obviously I need the Eagles to win. They sort of showed glimpses in that it was around just say 22, and they spread on the Storm, and then what happened was they got stuck on an edge, and they didn't have the players to come off that edge. So your centers are like Brad Parker and Morgan Harper. So just say if it gets to one of those kids, it goes to Saab or Garrick on one of those edges. Melbourne are not fearful of those two guys. So what needs to happen is your edge back rolls, whether it be the Olakau'atu or Josh Schuster, they need to shift it from the edge. So wherever they land on that quick shifts to try and move their middles around, try and disarray their whole middles. You can't go winger in or centre in straight back into the ruck, because Melbourne will be ready for that, and they'll squash you, they'll pick you up, they'll drive you back, 5-second play the ball, lose the whole momentum of the set. So when you have a switch, when you have a crack at them, they need to come back with whoever the right side back row is, Schuster or Olakau'atu. They're the ones who need to be working with their front rowers and have combinations where they can get off an edge, where if it be a 2-pass or even a 3-pass back to around near the middle. So then you're talking, then Cherry Evans can pick whatever side he wants to pick, either down the left edge or the right edge. So you can have a 6-4 split instead of a 5-5 all the time. So if you understand what I'm saying, 5 this side, 5 that side, 2 markers, fullback. That's 13 players. You want to be on this sort of left side of the post where you can have a 6-4, and then you can play football again instead of being jammed in on that wing or the other side with your two not that good explosive sort of players, Ruben Garrick and Saab, or even the centers aren't that great. You know what I mean? They need to be connecting with their middle guys and bash them through, not through the middle of the ruck, just on the edge, and then you can play football again. Consistency, doing that the whole game, kicking game, tackling good. It's just, it takes the perfect game to beat Melbourne. And Manly has that team. They need to execute it, and their defence needs to be on point. They need everything right, because they did it for about 50 or 60 minutes and they slipped off.
I reckon if you look at, and you sort of said that on the weekend in a tweet that, you know, he should essentially be Tom Turbo. He basically give him the Dally M, the Churchill, the Golden Boot, every award that's ever involved in rugby league, make him Prime Minister. Ren, if you're the Storm and you're sitting in video sessions and you're the coach, how much of your sort of game review is trying to work out Trbojevic? Because essentially you can't stop a bloke that is on a run like this. He's just you just can't. So how do you, as a coach, how do you protect around what Tom Trbojevic is doing?
I think the IQ of Turbo's, the knowledge that he has for the game of rugby league, he can't really coach against that. He's turning up everywhere. There's not a preferred side. There's not a preferred hole that he's running. He's just absolutely everywhere. So the best thing Melbourne can do is just concentrate on them, stick to their systems, turn up for each other, make their tackles, making sure they're effective in their defence. I don't think he'll be putting too much focus. Obviously, there'll be an emphasis on Turbo, but they won't be out there just to focus on Turbo alone. He's definitely an indicator, right? Whatever side Turbo's on, the ball's probably going that way. But that's where Des can bring a little trick out, out of the bag and go, we're going away from Tom. We're going to use him as a decoy and take a short side. Cherry Evans is good enough. He's got good leg speed to take short sides. They have to have the perfect game, Manly. And to go off what Mace is saying is you really need to disrupt the rhythm and flow of the Melbourne defensive line. They don't like a little bit of shift. They fill the space. They will scramble, and they will scramble hard. So you need to – obviously, you're never going to match them in a grind. They'll beat any team from –
But in saying that, Ren, you know how like we go, let's have a shift on them. And it's like, it's what you do after the shift. Am I right? Like, you don't just go straight back in the middle. You got to fucking play footy again. And then you might settle one, and then you got to go again. You can't just be like, get to an edge, move them around, because every team doesn't like a fucking shift.
You got to offload. Second phase play.
Have a look at Parramatta. Parramatta did that to Melbourne. And everyone's thinking, Para showed the blueprint to beat Melbourne. Melbourne were a little bit off, but give credit to Parramatta because they ran hard, they had a shift, but what they were doing off the ball and the movement they had around the back and how hard Nathan Brown was running, how hard Paulo was running and Papali'i, all over 150 metres, straight through the middle of it. Straight through the middle. So that's how you got it. You just got to keep dinting them, completing your sets, getting to the kick, bashing Pappenhausen. Because, I know Pappenhausen, he gets tapped a little. He's like a boxer. You tap him a little bit, he's fucked.
Yeah.
And you don't think that talk's going in. They're not going to intentionally hurt Pappenhausen with high shots, but their body contact and shit like that, hips into the back, into the head, that's happening. It's a fucking contact sport. You know what I mean? They won't feel bad about it. You take that kid out, your whole game comes, the whole thing comes aboard. Everything's just. I
don't think Melbourne's a clear cut winner here. I think Manly can upset them. They're not fearful of Melbourne. There's been that rivalry for a long time. They're up for this game. They hate
Melbourne.
Absolutely.
And Melbourne how to tackle Tom Trbojevic, I think they need to cut down the people that get the ball to Tom. And I think Melbourne is the best at cutting that out. They'll cut down Cherry Evans and they'll cut Jake Trebojevic's time off. The inside pressure from their middles, big Solomona and Bromwich and Brandon Smith, how quickly he'll get to Cherry Evans to try and limit that pass. If they know that they see Turbo on that edge, he's going to go right. They'll put so much pressure on so they can get early ball to foreign or whatever it is or whatever side. It's going to be up to foreign or DCE to put up plan B.
But what Turbo's doing as well, he's creating damage out of yardage.
Yes.
So he'll take a carry off the ruck, get him behind your marker. So if you're not set at A and B defender and Turbo's coming onto it, he'll get the ruck rolling, and then back up on the fourth.
And
play
another thing,
Ren,
how demeaning is it when you kick to Turbo in the first set and he runs straight at your biggest bloke and finds his hands and knees. He's fucking 6'4" and 108 kilo, muscles everywhere. And quick and skill set, you just got to manage Turbo. You cannot beat him. You know what I mean? Turbo's going to be Turbo one or two times. You just got to manage that sort of stuff and don't give him all those opportunities around the ruck. He springs up out of nowhere near the line, gets a short ball, and he just jams straight over your biggest bloke.
And I think
it's demoralising for these middles, mate. I was in the middle. If you fullbacks running over at one of our biggest, oh my God. You know
the thing as well, Will, I don't reckon I've ever seen this. It's partially the new rules, but you look at the speed of the game now, and you're seeing the most involved fullbacks, your Tedesco's and your Trebojeviches and your Kalen Pongers. They're taking those second or third
tough hits,
and they're coming in and they're trying to get in behind the marker. And if they get in behind, you're gone because they're just so quick and they've got runners off them.
But if you don't get up off the line, you'll get in trouble off your coach or you're offside. Because the ruck is happening so quick. So on that third or fourth tackle, he'll identify all this sort of stuff. He'll get straight behind the ruck, knowing that you haven't gotten back on the third or fourth tackle. Bang, 6 to go.
So who wins?
I don't know now.
I've given you. I don't know. You've just talked yourself into Manly.
I just talked myself into Manly, but I'll back Melbourne. I think Melbourne. I just think Melbourne because Melbourne and Melbourne. I think they don't want to run into Manly just say if they get beat and they don't want to run into again if it's a close game. I just think Storm will get him now. I think they'll try and make a statement.
Well, they won't. They'd have to play again in the grand final now.
And you're going against Bellamy as well. And the amount of the amount of stuff that he does, the homework that he does on all these players, especially Turbo.
Missing out Car's huge too.
Yeah. You got rookie wingers, mate. You got rookie wingers. And Adokar's a gun defender. You don't think they'll be going down their right edge on Turbo? You know what I mean? Like, that's where they got him before. Turbo played outstanding. Not outstanding, but he'd played in that his left edge, their right. Remus Smith, turn in. He hasn't got that combination.
All right, so game
Adokar's on the
two.
other side.
Game two is at Queensland Country Bank Stadium in Townsville, and it's the Roosters against the Titans. This game's actually, I don't know. The Roosters are fairly hot favourites. I feel very much like the Roosters have overperformed given their injuries, but I don't know, Ren. How can you see the Roosters just getting over the line in this game, or do you think it could be a blowout?
No, I think it's going to be a lot closer than people giving Titans credit for. What's that, 101 to win the premiership? All right, what are they paying to win this game?
So Roosters are
$4.
$1.25 and the Titans are $4.
Having JWH come back, there's your leader, Victor Radley. There's your link in attack between Hutchison and Walker. He gives another element of offense. He pokes his nose through. And defensively, we all know what he can do defensively. If you get in an arm wrestle with the Roosters, Titans won't be able to stay with them. Obviously, we've seen this year how much they like to throw the ball around, so they need to score a lot of points. I like Egan Butcher. There's a few young kids at the Roosters that have really stepped up and had to step up. And I think it's quite incredible that they finished fifth this year, given all the injuries.
Local juniors too.
There you
Good
go.
to see local juniors
and
coming through.
that's very rewarding for Robbo to see who his next stars are, and because JWH won't be around forever.
No.
So he's got a good kids coming through, and they're a good club. They've built a great foundation, So I think the Roosters will be too strong.
Do you like Sam Walker on the bench?
Who's playing half? Lamb,
yeah.
Lamb and Hutchison.
No, not really.
You either pick him or you don't.
Yeah,
don't you,
I think you keep Walker at 7. I think he brings a little bit more than Lammy. However, I can see that Robbo's probably gone with experience coming into a finals. He's only 18. He's an 18-year-old. And no one expects much from the Roosters. So they're just going – I don't think there's that much pressure on them either. They're going out there to play footy and see what happens.
They just keep winning too.
Yeah.
So, William, let's give you the Titans. Why will the Titans win? And don't say because Dave Fafita's on the bench.
No, I'm still against that. That's bullshit. I just think they've struggled all year. Like, they've been inconsistent, but you give them one chance where you put all your money in, I reckon they can get this game. If everybody plays to their potential. And I just think they've got game winners. That little dude, man, Jaden Campbell. You got Tyron Peachy. Fogarty's been playing outstanding since the other little Ash Taylor's been out.
Well, you said on the weekend yourself that
Like
when he's been allowed
stuff.
to run,
that forward pack, you're talking Wallace Origin, Fodawaker Origin, Kevy Proctor played for New Zealand, Tino played Origin. They've all playing pretty big games, and Bo Firma's been outstanding. He's still keeping David Feeder out. Sam Lasoni is the difference when he comes off the bench because he actually ball plays. So he gets a lot of their middles like Tino and all that, running a little bit wider, playing some football, like playing some actual football. He gets those block shapes and he starts hitting his middles. So they've been really good. Aaron Clark's a great defensive player. They've got the team there. I'm not doubting the Roosters at all because I think their team is still outstanding. If you look at that forward pack, Hargraves, Takiaho, Crichton, Tupanua, Victor Radley, Sam Barrels. It's outstanding. But they've limped into the finals. And I just think the Titans, you give them one game and you go, all right, boys, just go and play football. There's no pressure on you at all. And even going off from last week, there was pressure on them last week, 44-0 they won. This game, I think they're going to it's going to be an upset. I just reckon they've got that team and they're playing with confidence, and they're a confidence team. When they're going all right, man, things are flying and I just think they've got that one upset in them. I don't think they'll go any further, but they've got that one upset. They'll be up there. They're playing up there. They'll have a home crowd. And I think if they're going to do it now, they can really make, to 2021, they could salvage it. It won't be a disappointment. Yeah, I think they thought at the start when they've got Tino and they've got, Fafita, we'll make top 4, make top 8. It'll be pretty easy. It's fucking harder than you think.
They just limped in.
They limped in. And now it's like, we can really salvage this year. We can get to the second round of the playoffs. We can beat the Roosters. Roosters, on the other hand, be thinking, fucking hell, thank God this season's over. We can go into next year because they know they can't win the comp.
No, that's right.
I just don't think they have that belief. Like, yep, if they had Boyd Corner and Jake Friend and the two Morris brothers,
And
all
Luke Keary.
playing, and Luke Keary and Joseph Manu, and then you're talking. You lose those names, you can't tell me that confidence doesn't drop. You can say whatever you want in the media, you can do all this sort of shit, but I can see all behind those smoke screens, mate.
I think you're spot on with that. You've got two different contrasting mentalities going into this game. Like if you're a Roosters bloke, you've been at the top for 3-4
all those
years in a
kids
row,
have killed it, man.
and then all your marquee players are out. As soon as it gets hard, there's a little voice in the back of your head going, "Fuck this."
We've done well to get here.
Where the
Fuck
Titans
this.
are like, fuck, we deserve to be here, and we're going to prove it wrong.
They're all young.
And they're all young
Playing
kids
finals footy.
in finals, and they're going, oh my God, we've got 30,000 here. Different mindset. You get these kids off to a good start. Good luck, Roosters. They're an aging side.
Yeah.
Speaking of sides that are missing players, Latrell Mitchell is a huge out for the Rabbitohs, Ren, and obviously the Panthers and the Rabbitohs. It's 2 versus 3. It's two of the heavyweights of the comp. I don't know how the Rabbitohs would go if they had Latrell Mitchell, but they will do better with Latrell Mitchell than they do without. And so that X factor against his Panthers side. Tell me why you think the Rabbitohs can still win.
Oh God.
Good luck,
It's
eh?
a tough one with
Because of the
Penrith.
junior coaching, the young
because
coaches.
I got the
Because
Sheed
he
Ball team into the
coaches the young
semis.
team. Exactly.
Yes,
I was
Jeff
going to
Ball.
say that.
Reason.
I was going to say that, but you beat me.
Look, for South to win, it's going to come down to Reynolds. I think Reynolds has to kick him to death, put it into touch as much as he can, because they've shown 2-3 weeks ago that as soon as they got tough and it got into an arm wrestle, they crumbled. And then Penrith were just putting it on to Mansell, putting it on to Dime every time. They'll come out and start fast, South. They've definitely got the attacking ability. That's one thing about at South is their structure, when they pull the trigger and pull those plays off, they're probably the best attacking team in the comp. Do you think?
Yeah, I agree.
They've got the most...
That left edge is phenomenal.
the left, it's amazing. But even when they go right, it
Yeah.
might be not as smooth as the left side. But for me, it comes down to Reynolds. And I just think he needs to disrupt the momentum and put it into touch as much as he can. Play the long game. Play extremely patiently and just hope that they don't sort of build any momentum, Penrith, because they're just ruthless in every aspect of the game. Penrith and Melbourne are ruthless in all areas of the game. Their kick chase, their kick pressure, their third man in, blokes not getting caught to the ground and marker. Cleary putting it in the corner time after time after time. They can't get bored of that, South. They can't think, we need points, we're going to pull just pass it wide every time. Just kick to the corners, kick him to death, and I think that's the only chance I can sort of give him for winning this game, because Penrith are just class across the park. So Reynolds is the key for me.
So, William, you get the easy one.
Yeah.
Why are Penrith going to win?
It would be a
other
lot
than the
easier.
fact that they're better.
It would be a lot easier. It would be a lot harder if Latrell was playing, because he has that X factor and he's just a gun. As soon as he's out and you put Blake Laffy Taffy in, I don't know. Like, I just think it just goes backwards. I think Penrith win. They just keep doing what they do. They would have got that much confidence out of beating them last time when they were full strength. They were playing 9 or 10 games in a row. They were going for that win. And Penrith come out there, that was it 10-0 at the
12-0,
start,
yeah.
12-0, had a really good start, and then Penrith come back, scored 25 unanswered points. And that was out without Fisher Harris. You know what I mean? And Tavita Pangai Jr., who's been outstanding for 2 or 3 weeks. You know what I mean? So I just think their side is just class. They don't stop. Fisher Harris is just an absolute beast. He played 28 minutes or 30 minutes
He's
against
the best front
Parramatta.
rower in the game.
Him and Payne Haas are the best front rowers
Yeah.
in the game. I think
Two
they
best,
do.
for
They
sure.
do so much, and they do so much off the ball. They work hard in defence. They work hard in attack, and I just think their bench is like Mitch Kenny, who's been playing outstanding. Spencer Lienu, Pangai Jr. and Liam Martin. Liam Martin's an origin player. Can't get a starting position in a team.
Well, tell me, both of you can probably explain this a little bit better, but Penrith had a real drop. So they came out of the blocks a million miles an hour, and then they ended up going so well that they had a huge amount of players
But they had
playing
they had
Origin,
key, like
right?
Toto and Luai come out of Origin.
But that's what I'm saying, Will. So after Origin, you've both been in a team that was so dominant there was a huge amount of rep players, including the both of yourselves. what's that drop like? Like you come back from a game, like you come back from Origin campaign, and blokes are tired and they've been through it, and it is very difficult to get your seasons back on track.
You honestly just try and rely on the younger players trying to get you through. Like I did that. I was just like, I knew Sonny Bill and like Rennie and Roy and all these younger kids were just like biting it to try and to get starting positions, to do everything. And they were coming in and they took it easily. So we just had depth. They've had good depth as well, Penrith. But they haven't had really great depth in the halves. But like, you just got to make do. And they kept on winning their games. They one game off, what were they, joint minor premiers? And they dropped about 3 or 4 games that they should have won. Maybe not that many, but like a 1 or 2. And I just think, you do rely on those younger kids, and they've done that. And they've gotten through, and they're playing some outstanding football right where it matters. They knew they were going to cop a loss for about 3 or 4 weeks with Jerome Luai and Toto out and Fisher Harris. And they just had to maintain, get some bench plays, some starting minutes, and then drop them back to the bench. Now everyone's ready to roll. They are ready to roll. You see that last week. They rested a couple of people, but Fisher Harris needed that sort of start, and then Luai was outstanding. But Luai needs to be He's got to be clinical, what he does.
Yeah, they have come good at the right time.
So be a bloodbath.
All right. The last game is, this is two of your old clubs.
Yeah.
The Eels against the Knights. Rennie, you can pick the Eels because you had some time with the Parramatta side, and William, you can have the Knights. Yep. Because you played up there for 3 years before Rick Stone saw the light.
And wanted to win like wooden spoons.
So, Ren, why can Parramatta win? This is a good game, this. I like this game.
Yeah, I just think, you've got Junior Paulo coming back from suspension. Was he out for a week?
No, he just got rested.
You sure he wasn't suspended? Fact check.
No, 100% I'm right.
RCG.
I don't fact check, mate.
Even Papali. I mean, they should, if they're serious contenders in this competition, they should steamroll the Knights. I mean, they need Mitch Moses playing at his best, like just being patient and not going out there and being this superstar halfback to do anything sort of fancy. It's finals footy. You don't want to put too much pressure on him, but he needs to be methodical in everything he does as a halfback, as a general, lead that team around. So once and he plays, he's like Piercy. He plays well off the front foot. So he'll play well when the forwards are going forward and he can catch at the ad line. When it gets a little bit too hard for him or a little bit slow ruck, he makes poor decisions, tries to go for the big plays. The forwards have a massive job from not only for the Newcastle game, but going forward. If they want to win this competition, they really need to be dominant and set a standard that, other teams will be looking over their shoulder thinking, fuck, they mean business, para. And off the back of that, they need a general like Mitch Moses to get around the park and show a mature head. That's my case. I think they'll be too strong for the Knights.
William, the Knights, they were dog shit.
They were
last
awful.
week.
And as soon as that season's finished, done. It's a whole new game, and hopefully guys like Piercy pretty much has to lead that whole team. He's the only one with grand final experience in that whole team. You know what I mean? So like they're gonna have to go off him, and they got to trust him. They're gonna rely on Ponga. Like you look at all these kids. You know what I mean? Like they're just a bunch of kids. Both Saifidi brothers. Tyson Frizzell's not young. Mitch Barnett, Connor Watson. You know what I mean? Jake Clifford, Heimel Hunt, Kurt Mann, Tuala, and stuff. There's a lot of pressure on these kids, and I just think it's really up to Piercy and Ponga. But it's like they really draw a lot of strength from those guys. And it sucks that it's a lot of pressure on these kids, but it is what it is. That's why you got paid all this money and they put all their faith into you blokes. If they lose this game, it's a disappointment again in Newcastle, and they'll be filthy. Bradman Best needs to play better than last week. I don't think he was nowhere near as good as that he could have been. He was quiet, and he's an outstanding young player, future representative player. They were way off, but I reckon with the right coaching, they should be level heads this week. The season's done. It's a whole new ball game. As I said, like sometimes experience is awesome, but sometimes it's at your favour as well. When you got these kids that don't know what semi-final football is about, but you just hear the talk and you watch it when you're young and all that sort of stuff, and now it's here. you expect these young kids to rise up. And that's what he is expecting, because none of these kids have played semi-final football before, or not a lot. You know what I mean? Like Tyson Frizzell, maybe a couple of games, but everybody else, nothing. And then you look at, you know, the Parramatta Eels they've been thereabouts for the last 2 or 3 years. So big job for the Knights. But, you know, Kalen Ponga needs to be everywhere. The only reason why they sort of nearly come back last week was because of him. Pearce needs to be everywhere and leading from the front, and you get the Saifidi brothers controlling the middle, Frizzell doing his thing on the edge. It's going to take a full team to beat Parramatta, because Parramatta, they're going to switch back to that Melbourne mode, what they were a couple of weeks ago, and they know they've got it in them, and they've got Campbell Gillard back, you know, so that depth, the depth there in front row is just, it's there, man.
I must say I like the Eels for this game, but I just need to find out exactly when Anthony Seibold is going over to England, because if he's already gone, the Knights are a big chance. But if he's in the dressing room, the Eels will win by 50. So we'll go into the tips actually this week. I won't read them all out, but anyway, Will, you're in front on 147.
Yeah, I've won again.
The producers.
Well,
not
it was
winning.
my sport. That's why I am winning.
Ren, you're on 146, which is excellent. You're one ahead of me, so that's good.
So where did you end up coming?
The producer.
Second last or something?
No, well, I've beaten Harry and the producer, which is apparently all I'm allowed to beat this year. So that was good.
What?
Congratulations to RENI MAITUA, who has, I mean, he's just come on and made this show so much better. So thank you, Ren.
That's okay, mate. I might come back next week.
Can you?
Should be.
Maybe.
Please do, because I'm
Host
so...
it. You should host it.
You should. It should be Rennie and Ian. You're out.
Yeah, Willie,
You're gone.
Ian, and Rennie.
Piss him off, Burner.
Mate, I've been trying to for 15 years. It's awful.
That's a leech.
All right, well, that concludes episode number whatever it was of The Take with Willie and Rennie and Ian
And Burner.
also. We'll be back next week with Ren coming back.
Watch,
Good.
review, everything.
Watch review. We're gonna start the giveaways next week. We got the I can see the t-shirts. There's a box of t-shirts sitting here.
Yeah.
We're drinking Young Henrys. We've got Bondi Tonys. We're about to tuck into a burger. Everyone, we got stuff. We got so much stuff. And remember, these headphones that make me look good and Rennie can only wear in one ear. We're giving them away too.
Yeah.
We're giving everything away. I've given away my dignity.
All right.
See you next week.
So, yeah.
They'll be following Willie more and more. Back in the NRL is Willie Mason.
I've forgotten how big Willie actually is.
Perhaps the presence of Willie had the Panthers looking at his imposing frame.
I'm a 25-minute man. Plus. Oh, you got skill, son.
Uppercut right hand by Big Willie.
Too fancy for you.
You've been listening to The Take with Willie Mason and co-host Ian Byrne. Produced by Craig Trewick, recorded and engineered by Zig Parker of Green Room Sydney,